1,200 pages. These books are 1,200 page duet. Over 1,000 pages, this romance is. And there's not even a sex scene once. Hi, I'm Madison and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading the Boys of Tommen series, the first two books in the series, which is a duet. This is Binding 13 and Keeping 13. They are about to be traditionally published, so they're about to get brand new covers and like be kind of re-edited, but I wanted to read them right now while these covers and editions were out, just in case I really did like them and wanted to then collect the old editions before they go to print. But I don't know, this is a series that basically I saw blowing up on Twitter X at the end of 2022, and at the very start of 2023 a lot of people started reading it, and it kind of like was just a really big book, and I've seen a lot of hype come up around the fifth book coming out in the series, which is coming out in 2024, and so I was like, okay, is this series worth it? Because these books are so big. There's 600 pages each, and it's one romance, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, what is the hype about these, that like you guys are out here reading a 1,200 page romance duet about teenagers playing rugby in like the UK or wherever this is set, when there's not even a Dublin, and Ireland. This is in Ireland. This is in Ireland. And there's not even a sex scene. I'm pretty sure they kiss like 5 times in this entire series. So like, I'm so curious. I'm like, is it worth the hype? Like, should my other romance girlies be reading this, or does it read young? Like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm so curious. I'm gonna start this entire book, which, Lord, I really wonder how long this is gonna. It's set in 2005. 2005. I was 8. Yeah, I was 8 years old when this book was set. I don't even remember what 2005 was even like. This vlog will not be containing spoilers. It will just be kind of like my general thoughts, but I will have a spoiler section at the very, very end of the video for those of you who are interested in just kind of the whole thing as well. So a little bit of everything is kind of what my plan is. Yeah, okay, I'll be back, bye. Okay, so I'm only like 1 page in. I'm literally like on the first page right now. And I'm already know that I'm gonna have so much fun with this, solely because of the fact that she goes, I'm wearing a navy jumper with the Tommen College crest. And then she's also explaining just in general like what her school uniform is like. And it reminds me when I used to have a school uniform back in Australia. I know this is set in Ireland, but like, oh, I'm gonna have, and look, oh my god, a hairband. Oh my god, and they're gonna use the words, oh, I'm gonna be so happy just to read like proper English. Also, I had a lot of trouble trying to find the right tabs for this. I kind of want to do like a red vibe. I was like, it's like a reddy orangey cover, and the thing is that the other books in the series are pink, so I didn't want to go pinky, so I think reddy orangey is what I'm going here. I don't know, it's just a big book, so I'm not 100% happy with my tabs, but it's what I have. This might be like a weird thought, because like I'm only 1 chapter in officially now. I hope the wind's also not too loud, because it's like a little windy today, but it's also really nice out, so I wanted to come sit outside and just kind of enjoy myself. First things first, the book starts off with a lot of trigger warnings, just FYI. Shannon was very, 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 very badly bullied since she was like a kid in school, so if you have any trigger warnings to do with bullying, please do know that. Also, her dad is like super homophobic, her older brother is gay, and that's part of this as well. And it kind of starts off with like how badly Shannon has been bullied throughout all of her years, to the fact that she even almost contemplated committing suicide and all the things that people have said to her, but they don't, nothing's like detailed. It's just her recounting what the last couple of, like her entire life has been like up until the point this book starts off, which is where she is about to be transferred to Tommen College, which is where her 2 best girlfriends go, who are her only 2 friends in the entire world. Because she's leaving the public school system because she was literally almost like beaten to death by the bullies there. And so she has an older brother named Joey, who I think the second book is about, the second duet is about. But yeah, just know that so far, because it starts off right off the bat very, very heavy with all that explanation. That also being said though, I'm really liking it because I feel like, I don't know, this is my first thought already starting the second chapter, but I think because it's set in Ireland, it feels different than, you know, if you would pick up a traditionally published like YA romance nowadays, where like it just has a bit more of like a mature feel to it. It feels a bit more new adult, even though it's set during you know, she's, you know, young. I feel like if this had been set like in a regular American school, I would have felt already differently about it, but I think because it's set somewhere else, it also makes it feel more fiction-y and more like, you know, it's something special because of that. But that just might be like my own personal like thoughts. I'm just trying to like word that out. Anyway, this is a stupid clip. I'll come back later. Hello. Okay, so quick update because I am about to go inside and have dinner, but I'm 100 pages in, which normally I'd be like, wow, I'm 100 pages in, but it's like a 700-page book, so 100 pages means jack all, unfortunately. But kind of at this point now, I kind of know everyone's story, and so now I can kind of see where the... I say that, and I feel like obviously a lot of shit has to now go down if there's a 1,200-page book, okay? More things are going to happen. But I now know both the backstories. I already told you about Shannon and the bullying and her whole backstory. And what ends up happening is, on the very first day of school, she's crossing the rugby pitch, and she gets thwacked in the back of the head with a rogue rugby ball and passes out and gets a whole concussion from it. The guy who kicked that was Johnny Kavanagh. Now, Johnny is he's basically like the equivalent to like a junior in high school, and he is the captain of the rugby team. He moved here from Dublin. He's like the up and coming, like in the entirety of Ireland, like he is the up and coming rugby player for them, and so he has a lot riding on that. He's super stressed about it. He hates that he had to move from Dublin to Cork. Cork is where this is set, which is apparently like some small kind of like rural town, versus Dublin. Apparently people from Cork and Dublin don't like each other. I don't know. I don't get that. I'm not Irish. I'm just telling what I found out. Anyway, he apologizes for that. She's like skittish AF because she thinks that like she's immediately getting bullied again, even though that's not the case. He ends up taking her to the nurse's office. He ends up having to take her to the principal's office because he gets in trouble from the mum because he whacked her on the back of the head with the ball, and there's a whole thing that ends up happening to her. She does have a concussion, has to go to the hospital, is like away from school for a week. And basically Johnny is told like, yo, you have to stay away from like Shannon, like you can't be around her, like the mum has asked that you do not interact with this girl. Even though he's like super intrigued by her, but he's like, yeah, that's fine, like I should stay from her anyway because like I can't afford to be distracted, because he can't afford to be distracted. He's got too much running to like involve a woman in his life. Okay. Also, all the guys on the rugby team are known for like being basically like just fucking anything that moves, basically. Okay, the guys are all known for basically just banging anything that has a vagina. Anyway, so it's obviously Johnny and Shannon's romance now that they're going to like probably start to get to know each other. Shannon is 15 turning 16 and Johnny is 17 turning 18. They were both held back a year for like respective reasons, so they're both like the oldest in their year level too. And yeah, we're gonna see. They're about, I don't really know what's gonna happen. Like I said, I'm only 100 pages in. Her and Johnny haven't spoken since that fateful day. And I'm curious. We're meeting everyone else too. So Shannon has two best friends, I think I mentioned, and they are Lizzie and Claire. And then there's a bunch of different guys on the rugby team. But Lizzie and Claire also will have their own romances. Claire's romance is coming out in April of next year, and her romance is with Gibbsy. And we just had the first scene between Claire and Gibbsy. You guys, I totally understand why everyone's so excited for them. I'm excited for Claire and Gibbsy, and I read one scene. I've read one scene with the two of them, and I'm obsessed because Gibbsy is Claire's older brother's like best friend, and he's also like, Gibbsy's also on the team, and her older brother is also on the team, and I'm like dead. Also, her older brother is Huey, and Huey is the guy who ends up in a romance with Lizzie, and so that's going to be best friend's older brother. So we've got older brother's best friend romance and best friend's older brother romance coming up. Yo, the tropes. I'm so excited. So yeah, that's how it's all going. I'm really enjoying it. And it's kind of funny because I would kind of feel like I'm reading this, and even though they are obviously like in high school and this is set in high school, it reads a lot like a college romance. They all act a lot more mature, and the way this is written in their voices feels more mature. It doesn't feel like I'm reading like a YA book, and I don't know how else to explain it apart from the fact like you have to just read it to understand it. It really kind of feels like I'm just reading a college romance, which is super interesting. So I'm really excited to kind of keep going, and I'm really glad that it's reading that way, because I think if it had read super young, I wouldn't be enjoying it, but it's not reading young at all, which is really cool. Okay, up. Okay, you gotta sit down. Good boy. Oh, look at you. Let me give you guys an update on how this is going. Hello, okay, so good afternoon, because it's 12 p.m. exactly right now. Spent this morning, the last like hour and a half, just outside sunbaking while reading the book, so I'm like 155 pages in, so I read about an extra 70-ish pages while I was outside. I feel like you read a little bit slower when you're out in the sun sometimes, because your brain is just kind of getting fried. Or that might have just been me and how hot it was outside. Who knows? But loving this, loving it, it's having a lot of fun. I will say I absolutely, like, I'm in love with Claire and Gibbsy. I'm in love with Claire and Gibbsy. I cannot believe, like, this book came out when? This book was first published in 2018. I feel so bad for all you human beings out there who have had to wait since 20... My cat's actually just having a full-on, just like, witching hour right now. We're going to ignore her. 2018 to 2024 is when Claire and Gibbsy are in their book. You guys have to wait 6 years for Claire and Gibbsy's book. Yo, I feel so bad for you human beings. Oh my god, I would be like distraught. I literally love them to death. The fact that you guys, oh my god, I'm so sorry. This must, like, God's almighty. But I'm having fun with it. Johnny and Shannon have had a little bit more time to, like, chat with each other. It's an interesting romance that we've got going on just because they haven't really, I'm only this far in. This is just a very big slow burn here. But it does seem like one of the things I am catching on to, which is another trigger warning for this, is that I think Shannon's dad is, like, abusive when he's like an alcoholic, but not, like, all the time an alcoholic. Like, sometimes it just depends on his mood. But I think he's abusive. We haven't gotten confirmation for that yet, so I did want to bring that up. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's my little update. This man, I forgot to mention this earlier, he spent like hours like on the internet searching up shades of blue just to figure out the exact shade of blue he thinks her eye color is. And now whenever he talks about her, he goes, her midnight blue eyes. And he said, it's not even close, they're soul blue. I can't even. Okay, so I'm currently 200-ish pages in, 223 pages in, so like this far, which, like, you know, I'm getting close, which is really nice. But dudes, oh my god, it's so angsty. Like, it's definitely like super, oh my god, like shit. It's super slow burn, and it's super angsty, and it's just like you're watching these two people that you know you want them to be together, and that they like, but they both have so many issues. They have so many issues and they're not talking to anyone about it. And like, oh my god, there was this whole scene where he drives her home. He drives her home in his car, okay? And they sit there and they talk in the car for 2 hours. But then it all ends up being shit because the problem is he has this groin injury and he should still be in like PT and rehab for it. But no, he's playing because obviously he's one of the top rugby players and one of the top rugby recruits. So like if he's not playing right now and he takes any more time off, he thinks it's gonna like fuck his entire career over, when hello, which is, first of all, this is exactly what Shannon says to him. She goes, you know, like, I understand why, but you going back right now, like, you're going to do more damage. Like, you're going to fuck yourself over if you're trying to play when you're not fully healed. Oh my god. But she said this not really knowing, like, how much of a big rugby player he was. And he was like, he got so offended by that, like, that he cracked the shits. And it was like, it was just obviously him projecting onto her, like, the fact that she's telling him the truth and he doesn't want that. Also, like, the whole time, like, Shannon, whenever we read her point of view, she's like, oh, he's limping. He doesn't even know that he's been limping, and no one else has pointed it out until, like, Shannon points it out, and then the next scene, his mum points it out. Also, love his mum. His mum is amazing. Shannon's whole family sucks titties. Obviously, you already knew that, but her dad is an alcoholic and abusive. FYI, if that is a trigger to you, please do know that. And Shannon's mum is just, like, she knows what's going on, but doesn't say anything, okay? So that also is a trigger, please do know that. And it's just so frustrating. I've read books like this before, and I feel so bad for poor Shannon, because like her dad is just like, he literally, when she walked into the house, he literally like grabbed her by the throat and like pinned her against the fridge. It's so hard to read about because they're both such like broken people, and you can tell that like if they just had someone to like actually talk to, like that's the reason why like when Johnny was finally talking to Shannon accidentally, like, he didn't mean to tell her about his groin injury, but he opened up to her. And, like, you could tell how much it just, like, it helped him to talk to someone. And, like, Shannon has not talked to anyone about what goes on at home. And Claire, like, her best friend Claire does have, like, an idea, which is why Huey, her brother, also, like, has a bit of an idea, so, like, what goes on at their home. But, like, it's just, like, oh, my God, eventually someone has to know. But I have a really bad feeling that by the time people figure out, like, her home life is shit, her dad's gonna do something, like, and, like, break her. Anyway, I love this book. As you can tell, I've been tabbing it a shit ton, and it's unlike anything I've really read recently. And like I said, even though it is a YA book, it reads a lot older than that. And so I think that like a lot of people, like if you're looking for a bit of a change of pace with your romance books and you want something that you can like emotionally invest yourself in, that just kind of like drags you into its world, that is definitely this book. Because I feel like I've been dragged into this, and like there's definitely some things I don't fully understand. I don't understand rugby, I don't understand a lot of different things, but I'm kind of learning as it's going along too. And I have a headache right now and I need to go eat, so this clip is getting too long. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that because I'm really enjoying myself reading this. If I didn't have a headache right now and I wasn't hungry, I would keep reading. But like it's such an interesting book because of the way that it is, and like I'm not bored. Like considering that like not much, just like things have gone on, but like considering that I'm like this far through and like nothing's really like, Johnny and Shannon have had like 3 conversations with each other. 3 conversations. But I'm not bored because I'm invested in these characters and their storylines, and I'm like, I'm just terrified for where it's going to go. I'm terrified. But yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna go eat some food and then come back. I have a feeling it's gonna be a really fucking long vlog because all these clips are going for like 3 to 4 minutes because they're different than my other vlogs that I do where I'm like, oh my god, they had sex and they banged, oh my god, no. This is a book that you have to like savor the shit out of. Okay, that's all I want. I'm literally like, I'm dying right now. She has to like take a shower in his shower because like his dog's like jumped all over her and her clothes got muddy, so she had to have a shower, and then her clothes to be washed, she has to wear his clothes. Anyway, she obviously puts on one of his t-shirts. He's 6'3", she's barely 5 foot, okay? She puts on his top, clearly looks like even more than a dress on her, it's like all the way down to her fucking ankles. But he also gives her like a pair of sweatpants, and then there's like a pair of boxers on the bed as well. And she's like, well, I'm fucking tiny. She's like, the boxers probably fit me. She puts on his boxers. And this is her little inner monologue here, ready? She goes, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Johnny's penis has touched these things, and now your vagina has. You're basically having sex with him. I found that absolutely fucking hilarious. I am loving this to death, FYI, okay? But just know, like, there's super big trigger warnings in this for the fact that, like, her dad beats her and stuff like that, like, big trigger warnings. So I do want to let everyone know that that's, like, a huge, huge thing in this. And not only that, but just, like, being in poverty as well, because like they're living paycheck to paycheck and all that kind of stuff. So if any of those kind of things are triggering to you, please do know that. Like, do you see all those beautiful tabs? Also, I moved on to my second set of tabs, which are the darker ones now. Like, I'm making my way through this thing. You can see, you see. And it's 1 AM, so I have to go to bed because I've got work tomorrow. And if I don't go to bed now, I won't get to get sleep, so. But yeah. Okay, I'll catch you guys when I next read it. Bye. Hello, hello. You can see into my closet, which is an actual mess at the moment, but that's fine. We'll ignore the fact that you guys can see that. Oh my god, how are we doing? It has been a very long time since I've updated this vlog. First off, I want to point something really cool out. Do you see this? It says Boys of Tommen. No, sorry. It says Tommen. I'm going to zoom in and run on it. Hang on. It says Tommen College. Look at that. And then ready, wait for this, wait for this, wait for this. Chloe Walsh did like has like a whole like merch line for everything now. So I also have 2 sweatshirts too, but I can't be asked grabbing them. But this is the t-shirt, and it's Johnny's number 13 Kavanaugh, which is really fun. I'm loving the book. So the book's downstairs, book 1, which is binding 13. I have keeping 13 here because I'm about to start it because I was just going to grab my tabs and all that kind of stuff. It's actually Labor Day today, so I'm actually about to go to the grocery store then come back. But basically last week, well, as you guys do know, life has been super, I was away this, ADHD energy going on right now. I got an ear piercing. Do you see how cute this one is? It's so adorable. I need to like change these out to silver, which I have somewhere and I can't find where the silver versions of these are, but I think I need this to be new. Anyway, I was gonna get 2, but I figured I'd get 1 for now just so like the healing process, it's not like gonna be like 2 things, but I wanna get like another one down below. It's gonna look really cool. Anyway, 45 bucks too. I was away this weekend in California with my friend Becca, which was really, really fun. I actually read 2 whole books my god, crazy. But finally finished Binding 13 this morning. So, a lot of updates, because I basically read the second half of the book without giving you guys any of my play-by-play. But that's also because I read most of it while sitting outside in the sun sunbaking for a couple hours. And a lot of thoughts, obviously. I've decided I'm not going to make this a spoiler vlog, because I'm just not. So I'm not going to like let you guys know I'm not going to spoil the plot or anything for you guys, because I actually think this is actually a really great series to read. But I will put some spoilers at the very end overall about the series for people who do want to pay attention to the spoilery nature of the book. So that's a little bit of something for everyone. But I'll let you guys know before I get to that. One thing I will say, so having finished book 1, I kind of expected it to end on a bigger cliffhanger than it did. So it does like have a cliffhangery ending, but I thought it would be bigger than it was, if that makes sense. I'm really liking the progression of this series and this book. I will admit I'm kind of curious to see what's going to go on in book 2, because a lot of things have been addressed in book 1, and I can see like I can understand like, you know, this much of this book and like things that we still need to get like addressed and wrapped up and like talked about, especially like in regards to the fact of, you know, her dad being an extremely abusive alcoholic piece of shit. Really need that whole situation to like be dealt with right now, because it has not yet. And it's the number one thing that I'm really waiting to see how this goes. I think I mentioned it before, but it is a massive, massive trigger. So if you are at all sensitive to, like, she literally gets, like, beat on page multiple times. Like, multiple times she's getting beaten by her dad. So if that is at all a trigger for you, or you are sensitive to that, please, please, please do not read these books. Or if you decide to read them, go into them with a lot of caution, because it is very, very hard to read consistently. What I did really appreciate about the last book was there was a away game, and she goes to it, and while she's there, she's sitting next to Johnny on the bus, which is so cute. And he actually explains to her like how rugby works, and I don't know how rugby works, and I was able to read that and read the explanation, and now I know how rugby works, which is really fun. I feel like I don't think I've really ever read a sport romance where the guy sits there and explains the sport to the girl. I feel like maybe sometimes she tries to figure it out on her own or something else, or like she really is a massive fan of the sport or has some sort of like understanding. But like, this is the first time I read a book where a guy like actually sits there and like explains it. I was like, I really appreciate this. I had to read it twice, but I got it the second time I was reading it. Like, it was making sense in my brain. So really like appreciate that. There's a lot of really funny scenes. It's an interesting, like I said it before, but it's really funny how this, you know, she's 16, he's 18, and it doesn't really feel like they're that young. It feels like a new adult college romance, even though it's set during high school. So don't knock this book out just because of the age of the characters would be my number one thing, because I actually really love this series and this book. And I don't know what I would rate I don't know what I'm really going to rate it, because I don't think I'm going to rate them separately. I'm going to rate them kind of together as one book. But it's at least a 4 out of 5 stars, because it's different than anything else that I'm reading lately, and it's really refreshing to read something like this, because I haven't really read a book without spice in forever. But even though there's no like on-page sex and things like that, like the characters still talk about sex and talk about those kind of things, so it's not like it's not part of the book, you know what I'm saying? There've been some really, really amazing scenes, so without spoiling stuff, there's some really, really cute scenes where he's like drives her back to his place or drives her home, and like there's a couple of instances where she gets like drenched in the rain and has to like shower at his place, or like she comes over to his place and his mum is there, and like all this different kind of stuff, and it's just hilarious. What's really interesting about this is Shannon kind of gaining her own confidence. So kind of as the book is going on, she was so meek in the beginning and so scared, and you know, because of her feelings for Johnny, it's helping her kind of come out of her shell more, and kind of, you know, her desire to be with him is overpowering her meek nature, which is really, really interesting character growth to see, and I really appreciate that. And I'm waiting. She hasn't fully grown still yet, and I'm expecting to see that a lot in this last book here, to kind of see her kind of fully bloom, but it's really exciting to watch her grow, and it's been super fulfilling, so I'm really, really liking that. I do like Johnny a lot. He's not like my favorite male character that I've ever read. Like, I definitely prefer Shannon to him, but what I've really, and I think it's only because of the fact that like Johnny can be really frustrating at times because he's so in his head about, you know, being the #1 rugby player, for being this amazing person, and that's just not like, I mean, I just don't relate, you know what I'm saying? But what I do really love is how much he like is in love with Shannon, and watching how he's so obsessed with her, but like is trying to not be obsessed. He's like, this girl is like burrowing her way like under my skin, and I don't know how to get her out, and like I don't think I want to, but like I need to focus on sports. I can't focus on a girl. I can't like, but he's like skipping practice to hang out with her and look after her and keep her, and it's just like all these different things. And like as he's changing and doing these little things, he's like, fuck, like I'm fucked. Like he says it so many times. There's so many times in the book where he's just like, I'm so screwed over this girl. Like I have never just felt so like wholeheartedly about another person before until her, and this is just crazy and ridiculous, and he acknowledges that too, which I really do appreciate. So his absolute like uninhibited just love for her is just amazing. There's also an entire scene where he's hella drugged out of his mind, not like, you know, he's taken drugs, but like for pain medication, like drugged up. It's the funniest shit I've read in the entire world, him being drugged up and like high as a kite on pain meds, saying the most unhinged shit, and he's like, is my dick still there? Like, does my dick still exist? And I'm like, and he's like, Shannon, will you have my babies? And I'm like, he remembers none of it. It was so funny. It is the funniest shit. I thought it was hilarious. I've never read a scene like that before, and it goes on, and even when you think, oh god, this has to stop, like there has to be some sort of boundary, Chloe Walsh was like, fuck, there's no boundaries. This dude has no filter right now. He's just gonna, I'm gonna have him just fucking go for it and be completely loopy. It was so fun. Like I literally sat there, I was like, oh my fucking god. I was like, I am dead right now. I was like, this is priceless. It was hilarious. I had so much fun reading it. So yeah, it's really, really fun, and I'm really, really enjoying this series, and I can understand, like obviously I'm not sitting here, you know, getting 13 tattooed on my tit or something like that. Why is that like what I came up with? But I do really love this book series and these characters, and I think it's just because you become so entrenched in their lives and who they are as people that you can't help but just become so invested in them. Like I'm so invested in this series, and when I pick up this book to read, like sure, like it's fucking depressing at times and it's a hard book to read, but there's something very comforting about it as well. I need to go to the grocery store. I'm gonna go do that, read this book, and I'll catch you guys up later. Alright. Okay, I've actually been just like fucking around. I haven't even gone to the grocery store yet. It's been like an hour, but I wanted to show you my edition that has all my little tabs in it, which looks so pretty, and it's just like, do you see like the progression of like light tabs to dark tabs? Oh my god, they're so pretty. Okay, now I'm actually gonna go to the grocery store. And yes, I got changed to go to the grocery store because I wasn't gonna go my Boys of Tommen top, which I could have done, but I got changed and put my Don't Eat the Homies top on instead because I love this top. Also, I got 3 new bracelets. This has got nothing to do with this conversation. This should go on my next week in my life, which I will be filming finally a new week in my life once I finish these damn books. Anyway, what was the point of this clip? There was no, to show you the book. I question myself sometimes. Okay. I'm in the middle of trying to install Photoshop and it's just not doing anything. I wish also, and now that like I've officially moved to Vegas, I need to change this art piece out. Because like, no offense, I don't need, like if I'm gonna have, you know, like it's just not my vibe at all. Like I'd rather have a flat out naked human being than some lady's sexy back in some outfit she's wearing. But that has nothing to do. this is such a chaotic clip. I think my laptop is literally having an aneurysm trying to download Photoshop. I might have made a bad decision. Ooh. Anyway, I'm currently around about almost halfway through Keeping 13, and it's definitely slow moving, which I kind of expected because book 1 was slow moving, but it is moving a bit slower than I had expected it to. However, I literally read one of the like fucking best scenes I've ever read in my entire life last night. I said it like multiple times with this video that I'm so excited for Claire and Gibbsy's book coming out, but like I don't think you guys understand. Like, first off, Gibbsy's like, yeah, I am in love with Claire, I just can't be with her right now. And Johnny's like, why can't you be with her right now? And Gibbsy's like, well, because only 15% of people who get married with their childhood sweetheart actually end up staying with them in the long term. Otherwise, the rest of them end up getting a divorce. He's like, so because she's my childhood best friend and I want it to work between us, I can't marry her until we're old. Like, that's his reason. And then that's so cute and adorable, but I'm also like, what the fuck, bro? Not only that, but like there's this woman that like won't really leave him alone sexually, and so in order to avoid her, he's like, what is an excuse I can use to avoid having sex with the person? A legitimate excuse, okay? This man goes, oh, I know what to do to avoid having sex with someone. I'm gonna go get my penis pierced. He goes and gets a dick piercing just to avoid having sex. I can't. Who does that? Who, like, but if all of this does not just encompass Gibbsy, I don't know what does. Like, he is like just such, like, such an iconic character. I don't think I've read anyone like him in my entire life before, like, hands down. Just fucking hilarious. Can someone please, oh, I think Photoshop's working. The things I do to figure out, I'm trying to, just so I can make graphics and things for my book, which honestly, I don't really know if $35 a month is really going to be worth it, because what does $35 a month work out to in the year? Probably too much fucking money, to be quite honest with you. Maybe I'll like subscribe for a month and then unsubscribe and just subscribe as needed, who knows. Anyway, halfway through this, they're about to go on their very first like proper date, although maybe not, because it sounds like they maybe are about to like go bang instead, because they were supposed to go on a date and instead she kind of wants to have sex with him. But like his entire time, his whole stance has been like, we can't have sex because you're 17 and I'm 16, which I thought that was legal first off, but then apparently not, because she's technically still, I don't know, a lot of different rules I don't really understand, but like, so I'm kind of confused to where this is going to go. But we've had a bit more development to do with her dad, but still nothing yet has come to fruition, so I'm still just kind of waiting, but I'm still really enjoying it, and it just feels like I'm like watching a TV show still. So yeah, that's my update. I literally do not know like how Chloe Walsh ever wrote Gibbsy. Like, I'm gonna cry. Every single time he says something, it's the funniest shit I've ever read. And you just sit here and you're like, I'm just like, how does she think of this stuff up? Like, how does she just sit there and write this and just have this banter with this guy who says the most unhinged, like, listen to this. He goes, if you're still in the air about full-on penetration, then I highly recommend you go down the mouth to pussy recitation route. He goes, Jesus Christ, Gibbs. He goes, it's a very scenic view and very rewarding. It's a win-win, lad. I can't. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Oh, I'm dead. They still have not had sex, but he did finger her, so that did happen, which is actually more than I was expecting, because I was under the impression that these books were like very PG, and they're not as PG as I was expecting. I mean, obviously they are still like, you know, PG, but I mean, even from the beginning, it was always, you know, a lot of boy talk and like sex talk and things like that, but like regular stuff that you expect guys in high school to talk about. That being said though, we're kind of learning a little bit more about Lizzie a little bit. I still don't get why people think that Lizzie and Huey are going to be a couple together, because like I don't get that yet, but I'm only halfway through the book, so yes, that's my update. It's still fucking hilarious. Things are moving with Shannon and Johnny, but not like too fast, it's still a little bit slow. And I'm vibing with them, I'm enjoying them, and he's so protective over her. I love it. Like, literally, you want a boy like Johnny. Like, honestly, goals. Like, he is just so protective and loving and just, like, everything for her. Dead. Oh, I mean, it really wasn't sexy at all. They did do the do, and it was so just messy. Not like literally messy, like not like that, like not what you're thinking, get your head out of the gutter. But like, it was just so, it was just hilarious. What I really love about this series is the fact that it really does, like, you believe, like, while yes, you don't feel like you're reading a YA book because the characters feel a lot older, everything they're going through and their emotions and their first time together being with someone feels very accurate and real, and just like the kind of thing, like, it just, like, I know that you read a lot of books and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm reading a fantasy, like this, and then like, I want to happen to me in a romance, like, you know, when you really, you know, when you're like, you're reading a billionaire and you're like, oh my god, like meeting a guy and him taking me away in his jet, or like, you know, oh my god, falling in love with like a rock star, like those, like, these things, okay? But like, reading this book and this series, it feels legit and like real, and I feel like that's why it's such a different experience of a book, is because it literally feels like someone's actual life, and it feels like real life. And I think to an extent there are moments when you are reading this book and this series where it does feel a little bit too real, and it can feel like you're not really escaping anything, but at the same time, you know, you can't help but not be connected to these characters. All that being said, like, while I am really enjoying this, I will admit that this second book here does feel a little bit long. Like, it is dragging a little, like, there are a couple of scenes here and there that I'm kind of like, I'm glossing over bits and pieces, but like, not because it's like bad writing or anything like that. It's just like, I want the next thing to happen, and I'm just so anticipatory for what's going to be, especially because like her dad is still fucking up in the air, and I'm like, oh my god, we didn't really have that much. Oh my god, this, like, as I was saying, it feels so real. She shaves her vagina. It goes so wrong. Like, I just love how accurate all this book is to like, I mean, I grew up as a kid in the 2000s, so like, reading about these kids in the 2000s, like, growing up, like, it's all very accurate and real, and I'm having a blast with it. It's hilarious. So I'm planning on finishing this today, no matter what. And yeah. Oh god, this book is, it's getting emotional. This much left right now, and it's, oh my god, I like having to keep stopping myself from crying because it's getting very, very emotional right now. I feel like I've been around a bender. I've got 100 pages left right now, and yo, nuts, everything that's going on. It's 11:23 p.m. and I did it. I finished the book. I am so proud of myself right now. Literally, I have like a bunch of different feelings going on. Let's see. First off, beautifully tabbed the entire book. Really, Isolde, can I help you right now? Beautifully tabbed the book. Loved it to death. And I actually, look, do I think, yes, like, obviously reading 600-page books, it's a lot of words, and like towards the end of the second book I was kind of just like, okay, like, when are things gonna get going? But I also think that part of that is just the fact that like, I wanted to get this vlog done today, so that definitely had a portion of that. But otherwise, like, I would definitely solidly rate this series like 4.5 stars, probably 4.5 stars, to be quite honest with you. Like, I really enjoyed this series. It's so well thought out, and it's so well developed, and it's just so amazing and unlike anything I've really ever read before, and I'm so appreciative of that. I do want to say that there is trigger warnings in this, like I did say earlier, you know the early trigger warnings, but there's also trigger warnings in this for drowning and fires. So drowning and fire are like triggers for you at all. Those do come up and are mentioned in this book, so please do be aware of that. Also, drug addiction is also something that does come up, so please do be aware if those are triggers for you at all. That being said, the way that this book leaves off, this book does leave off leading you into the next book, which is Joey's story. Joey is Shannon's, brother. And I already know, so from actually what I can tell from reading this, I'm guessing that the first half Saving Six and Redeeming Six. Saving Six takes place, I think, during Binding and Keeping 13, whereas I think Redeeming Six takes place after the book, just because of the way that this book ends. It makes it seem like you're going to be learning what's going to be going on with Johnny now. Joey. Why did she have to pick two J names? And I'm actually really excited for that. Like, I'm actually genuinely, like, super intrigued and excited to read Joey's story. Like, originally I was like, oh, whatever, like, you know, his book series is next, like, it is what it is. But I'm actually super, super, like, intrigued to see. Plus, there must be something else that, cause, like, I still don't understand why everyone says that the next couples we've got Gibbs and Claire, which, like, makes sense. But everyone says Lizzie and Huey, and I don't get that. I actually see Lizzie and Feely together. They seem really cute, but like something must happen in Joey's books to make people think that Lizzie and Huey are going to be getting together, because I currently do not see it at all. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. Do I think it's worth the hype? Yeah, I actually think it is, because I think, you know, if I didn't think it was worth the hype, I would have definitely given it a lower rating. But not only that, I think that, like, the hype that is around this is just inevitable, in the sense of you can't not read this book and not become connected to the characters. It's just not possible. It's obviously, like, the series obviously isn't, like, as hyped as things like, you know, Fourth Wing and stuff like that, but it's still a pretty hyped series, and I think it lives up to the hype that it has. Like, I don't think that the hype that surrounds this book over promises anything, if that makes sense. So I definitely understand, like, the fandom around it. Like, do I really enjoy this series? 100%. Do I want to continue with the series? 100%. Am I super stoked for Claire and Gibbs's stories? 110%. Like, literally so excited for Claire and Gibbsy. But, like, I'm not, like, a Throne of Glass girling over this, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not... For me, I'm not, like, going to be one of those, like, A-plus fangirls who's, like, gonna get, like, Boys of Tommen posters and put them in her room, or, you know, get tattoos from this series. Like, you know, I've got my Throne of Glass tattoo. Like, that's a different kind of thing. But I still really, really enjoyed this series, and I think it's really well done, and I'm excited for more people to read it. And I do think that it's probably very daunting for people to pick up, because of the fact that this is, like, two 600-page books. Like, that's 1,200 words. 1,200 pages that I just read. And actually, each of these books is 100... No, sorry. Each of these... Like, yes, I said that it's 600 pages, but this is, like, a big book. Like, this is not, like, a regular size book. And the font size in this is not like this is small font. So, like, I actually looked into it. These books are 250,000 words each. That's not normal, FYI. Like, there's a book that was written that was like 140,000 words, and it was like 400 pages. Like, this is 600 pages, but it's only 600 pages because it's a fucking tall ass book with tiny words. Like, in my opinion, this book, like, if you were to turn this into, like, more accurately a different kind of book, like, this could have easily have been, like, 800-900 words. Like, like, pages. Like, I would not be surprised if I was like, that's 2,000 pages. I would have been like, yeah, that pans out, you know what I mean? I'm probably going to go into some spoilers now, just kind of talk about things, just so I can kind of get some more of my thoughts out, just without spoiling things. So, if you don't want to hear spoilers, click off now. I really did like the way that everything kind of came together. Like, I was a bit frustrated that it took a lot of this book to get to the resolution with Shannon's dad and his abusive alcoholicness, and sure, like, to an extent it wasn't really, like, dealt with, because of the fact, so what ends up happening is Shannon's dad ends up getting out, like, ends up going into, like, rehab, like, fake rehab. Like, he goes into actual rehab, but it's like he's faking it. And then gets out, and he ends up coming back to the house and decides he's going to murder everyone via fire. So he plans on, like, locking them all in their rooms and then burning the house to the ground. But Shannon ends up calling Johnny, and Johnny ends up, like, coming in through her window and, like, rescuing her, and then rescues all the children as well. But Shannon's mum and dad still burn them to death in the house. So, like, you don't really get the closure there from her dad, like, and her, like, anything going on there. There's no closure because he just fucking dies. But at the same time, like, you're glad that he dies, but you're sad that the mum died. Like, that's why I cried. Like, I cried because, like, just the emotions that went on there with like all the children dealing with like their mum now being dead, and they're glad their dad's dead. They're sad that their mum died, but they also feel weird about their mum dying. Like, there's a whole thing there. But then also, like, you know, Johnny feels guilty that he saved the kids, but he was unable to save the mum. And, like, there's just so much emotions that were going through during that time that was, like, really hard to read. And, like, I think she did an amazing job at kind of, like, showcasing all these different emotions. I thought it was really cool. I loved to death Johnny's mum. Like, Johnny's mum was a superstar in this. What ends up happening is Johnny's mum and dad actually end up fostering Shannon and her 3 younger brothers. They don't have to go into the foster care system, and so they get fostered by them. I loved that. I loved his mum to death. She was, like, ɪırsᴛᴏᴜ was a badass bitch. She, like, A+, tastes like one of the best book mums I've ever read, hands down. Like, yeah, without a doubt, like, the best, yeah, 100%, like, one of my top 5 book mums I've ever read would be ɪırsᴛᴜ, Johnny's mum, in this book series. No contest. Loved it to fucking death. A big part of this is the fact that Joey has a heroin addiction, and so he goes into treatment at the end of this book, and then he gets out of treatment and is back at school, is how this book ends. And he still has his girlfriend he's his girlfriend, Ife, still, and I think she's pregnant, because she was holding her stomach a couple times in this, so I'm pretty sure that Joey's girlfriend is pregnant. Okay, so I'm really curious to read their story because of all that. And then it's also got to probably do with, like, I didn't speak too much about Johnny's, like, rugby playing, because that also gets to be a bit of a spoiler, because he, you know, has his adductor, like, injury, and then, like, that's, like, his abductor injury is, like, a massive thing in book 1, but then in this second book, the main focus is, like, him healing from it, and him actually, like, going into, like, not rehab, but, like, going to, like, physical therapy, and, like, actually, like, looking after himself, and, you know, getting into, like, the under 20s, and, like, getting him part of the professional team, and then being able to make his decision, like, if he's going to, like, pursue what he's going to pursue, like, will he have to leave Shannon behind, and, like, that whole thing is, like, part of his whole story. And I thought that was also really well handled, because you saw a lot of growth from Johnny being so focused and thinking that he wasn't really worth anything, and didn't really have anyone telling him that he was worth anything other than being a rugby player, and then meeting Shannon and kind of realizing that there are people out there who love him for him, and him kind of realizing that he has spent his entire life, like, focused on rugby and not really being a teenager, and he grew up too fast because he was always in the professional leagues and never really got to, like, experience life, which is a huge part of this as well. And then Shannon, oh my god, watching her grow throughout this was absolutely phenomenal. And her friendships with her and Claire and, like, Lizzie was gorgeous. And then obviously there's, like, the big bully girl, Bella. Like, Bella's been, like, the big bully through the entire series. But she's fucking nuts, bro. There was never one redeeming quality towards Bella. Like, that bitch was literally fucking nuts, okay? Like, stalker level restraining order nuts. Like, how she did not get a bigger rep. Like, she ended up getting reprimanded in this book and, like, got it, like, not expelled from the school, but, like, something similar to that. But she needed a way heavier reprimand for all the shit that she pulled. I don't know, I don't think there's really anything else I need to point out. I really enjoyed the series. I definitely think that, you know, it's definitely not going to be for everyone, because the characters are younger, and some people are going to have those reservations about reading about younger characters and this being, like, a young adult book. But in my opinion, it definitely is more squarely new adult. Okay, I'm going to log off and end this vlog because it's 11:30 at night, and I do have work at 6:30 in the morning. And I'm starting a new week in my life vlog tomorrow. Lord help me. If you guys did stay until the end of this video, please comment a heart emoji. Any heart emoji. Whatever heart emoji you desire. Yeah, because I can't think of anything else that would be a better emoji at this point. My brain doesn't feel like working enough to decide on a different emoji. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Okay, bye!